Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you're joining us today. Welcome to this year's Advancing Generic Drug Development, Translating Science to Approval workshop. I'm Maria Monroy-Osorio, a Regulatory Health Project Manager in the Office of Research and Standards in the Office of Generic Drugs, and I will be your moderator for today's workshop. We have a wide range of attendees today, from scientists to researchers to regulatory affairs professionals, and both current and prospective generic drug applicants. We are so pleased you could join us virtually to engage in what promises to be an informative, stimulating, and inspiring workshop. Over the next 2 days, we'll take a deep dive into the scientific, regulatory, and practical challenges surrounding generic drug development, including both complex and non-complex products. Our sessions include an overview of the generic user fee amendments, otherwise known as GDUFA, Science and Research Program, and how its resources are transforming the science that supports generic drug development, review, and approval. A closer look at complex generic products, for example, inhalation, implantable, and topical products, and the scientific research, methodologies, and regulatory guidance and tools used to support the development on these products. An exploration of innovative methodologies, and design recommendations for demonstrating therapeutic equivalence, especially in challenging or unusual cases. An examination of the regulatory challenges in generic applications, for instance, issues around formulations, excipients, drug substances, and known safety and regulatory concerns and considerations. And finally, an overview of practical strategies and case studies, how science is informing policy and guidance development, and how to better anticipate and work through common deficiencies. Each session is designed to bring together science, regulatory, and practical experience to strengthen our collective understanding of generic drug development. And in line with that goal, our learning objectives for this workshop are to help participants stay current with recent scientific and research advances, regulatory evaluations and guidance development around generic drug products. They're to understand how GDUFA-funded research can be leveraged in planning, developing, and submitting generic drug programs, and to utilize effective strategies and innovative methodologies to improve efficiency, robustness in generic drug development. Once again, we are pleased to welcome you to this workshop. Throughout the workshop, we encourage you to submit your questions using the MS Teams Q&A function. If this function is not available to you, you can send your questions via email to orsevents@fda.hhs.gov with the subject line AGDD 2025. When submitting a question, please include the name of the speaker and session it relates to, as this will help us route it to the right person. Please take a screenshot of the slide and don't wait to submit your questions. Submit them as early as possible. Our team will be actively monitoring all questions throughout the morning, and we'll do our best to address as many questions as possible during the designated Q&A sessions today. As a reminder, all sessions are being recorded, and the recording and presentation slide will be posted on the FDA website. Now, it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Darby Kozak. Dr. Kozak currently serves as the Deputy Director for the Office of Generic Drugs, where he plays a leading role in shaping FDA policies and long-term objectives for generic drug scientific programs. He has been instrumental in advancing strategic planning for the generic drug program and guiding research that supports high-quality, accessible generic medicines. Since joining the FDA in 2015, Dr. Kozak has made significant contributions in the Office of Research and Standards, and particularly in developing new analytical methods and equivalence evaluation approaches for complex products, including parenteral, ophthalmic, otic, and inhalation formulations. Before his tenure at the FDA, Dr. Kozak served as chief scientist at Eyes on Science and was a research fellow at the University of Queensland's Australian Institute for Bioengineering and Nanotechnology. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from the University of Washington and a PhD in Chemistry from the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Dr. Darby Kozak.
Thank you, Maria, for that excellent introduction, and welcome you all to the 2025 Advancing Generic Drug Development Workshop. As Maria mentioned, I'm Darby Kozak, the Deputy Director of the Office of Generic Drugs, and I'm delighted to welcome our stakeholders from industry, academia, and other regulatory agencies to this important two-day virtual event. This is actually the 8th year we've held this workshop, and this year we're focusing on the transformative impact that FDA's GDUFA Science and Research Program has on generic drug development, regulation, and approval. Generic drugs continue to serve as the backbone of our healthcare system, providing patients with access to safe, effective, and affordable medications. I think the statistics speak for the volumes about this and their importance today. So today, generic drugs represent over 90% of all prescriptions dispensed in the United States, yet account for only about 12% of the prescription drug spending. According to recent data, generic drugs have saved the U.S. healthcare system nearly $450 billion in 2024. It's a true testament to the profound impact that the competition from a robust generic drug industry has on healthcare accessibility and affordability. However, these savings aren't just really numbers and a balance sheet. They really represent real impact on patients' lives. They mean that a patient with diabetes can afford their medication, that families don't have to choose between essential medicines and other necessities, and that our healthcare system can allocate resources more effectively to broader serve the public health needs. The landscape of generic drug development has transformed dramatically since the Hatch-Waxman amendments were established our modern framework over 41 years ago. In 1984, when these amendments were enacted, the pharmaceutical landscape was fundamentally different. Generic drugs accounted for 19% prescription drugs purchased, and most products were relatively simple, small molecules with straightforward manufacturing processes and well-understood pharmacokinetic profiles. Today's environment presents us with increasingly complex products that challenge traditional approaches to generic drug development. These include novel systems with precision devices, complex active ingredients that require sophisticated analytical methods, locally acting products such as inhalation therapies and topical formulations where systemic exposure may not correlate with therapeutic effect. And now, moreover, sophisticated drug delivery formulations like liposomes and extended-release polymer systems. This complexity extends beyond just the products themselves. We're also dealing with manufacturing processes that involve advanced technologies and regulatory pathways that must balance innovation with safety and efficacy standards. The decade-long GDUFA program, now in its 3rd iteration and soon its 4th, has fundamentally transformed how we approach generic drug development and review. Founded by industry user fees, the Generic Drug User Fee Amendment provides FDA with the resources to conduct cutting-edge research that directly benefits the American public while offering increased opportunities for the FDA and industry to engage on complex scientific issues. The GDUFA program has introduced critical timelines for application assessment, established dedicated research programs, and created structured frameworks for innovation, and built the pre-ANDA program to engage ANDA applicants early in the drug development process. By providing dedicated resources and a structured approach to regulatory science and enhanced communication between FDA and industry, GDUFA continues to drive progress in science and technology to enhance generic drug development and regulatory assessment. A key aim of this GDUFA research is to make generic drug development and assessment more efficient, reducing the risk of drug shortage and facilitating competition that enhances patient access by making these products more available and affordable. This research translates directly into publicly available product-specific guidances, recommendations that provide greater transparency and clarity to ANDA applicants. As of October 2025, it's important that FDA has posted over 2,300 product-specific guidances. This is a true testament to FDA's commitment to facilitating generic drug development across all categories. To ensure that these PSGs remain current and relative to industry's needs, we also routinely revise these guidances when new scientific thinking emerges. So the theme of today's workshop, Translating Science to Approval, reflects our shared commitment to advancing the scientific foundation that supports drug development and regulatory decision-making. This theme captures the essence of what we do, taking cutting-edge research and translating it into practical tools, guidance, and regulatory pathways that enable the development of high-quality generic drugs. Over the next 2 days, You'll explore groundbreaking research addressing the most pressing scientific challenges in our field. This includes 4 critical areas that represent both current challenges and future opportunities. In today's first session on complex product guidance development, you'll hear about a wide range of complex products, from implant products and inhalation therapies to topical formulations, and how GDUFA research into these products translates into practical guidance for industry. You'll also hear about the cross-office subject matter expert triage team that CDER developed to streamline our research projects and facilitate timely development for PSGs for complex products. This proactive research triage process helps FDA ensure that we meet our GDUFA III commitments. This team initiative also ensures that GDUFA research is focused on the needed scientific methodologies to support guidance development. This includes approaches to characterize complex excipients, understanding analytical challenges, and developing bioequivalent strategies for products where traditional methods may not be sufficient. The session in the afternoon on novel bioequivalent study design will cover innovative approaches using physiologically based pharmacokinetic modeling, BCS waiver strategies, and novel bioequivalence approaches when the reference listed drug or reference standards are not available. These methodologies represent the cutting edge of regulatory science and offer innovative approaches for demonstrating therapeutic equivalence for both complex and non-complex products. Tomorrow, in the session on common regulatory challenges, you'll hear practical insights into navigating the most challenging aspects of generic drug development, including complex drug substances, critical excipients, and real-world case studies from products like oral semaglutide and glatiramer acetate. And finally, the last session will explore practical strategies and risk assessment approaches for nitrosamines. Given the critical importance of nitrosamine safety concerns, you'll hear practical recommendations and guidance for assessing nitrosamine risk for different drug classes and formulation types. The research you'll learn about over the next 2 days is already making a real difference. Our GDUFA research on complex iron carbohydrate products has recently contributed to the approval of 3 first generic iron sucrose products in 2025. These approvals represent significant new access and cost savings for patients requiring iron supplement therapy. Our recent insights into glatiramer acetate processing have supported multiple generic approvals, including an approval in May this year, and has led to recent updated product-specific guidance. These approvals represent not only a major advance in regulatory science, but more importantly, they provide patients with the access to more affordable treatments and options for multiple sclerosis. These and other examples you will hear about over the next 2 days demonstrate how GDUFA-funded research translates directly into improved patient access, reduced healthcare costs, and enhanced treatment options. In addition, this workshop and the GDUFA Science and Research Program represents a collaborative opportunity to advancing generic drug development. The questions you ask and the insights you share will help shape the future of generic drug research and regulation. As Maria mentioned, there's multiple ways in which you can engage with speakers and ask questions, and we highly recommend that you take advantage of that. So I really encourage you to ask those critical questions, share your experiences, and help us identify new pathways to improve the development and access to these generic drugs. Through this engagement, we can ensure that the scientific advancements translate into increased access to essential medications and a meaningful impact on patient care. Again, welcome to the 2025 Advancing Generic Drug Workshop. Let's begin this important work together and make these next 2 days productive, enlightening, and transformative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kozak, for your insightful keynote and for setting the stage for today's discussion.